Lately, I've been getting spoiled with the very best players going up against each other in StarCraft 2. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be able to keep this up, because over the last couple of weeks, it's just been Max Specs facing off against Serral, and then going up against Clem, and Raynor is in there, Dark is playing a lot, Hero is playing a lot, basically the absolute cream of the crop of StarCraft. They're all facing off against each other, well, week after week after week, and today is no different. Spotting right here, in the top right-hand corner in game number 1 of today's Best of 5 series, playing with the Red Terran SCVs. We have the world champion of StarCraft 2, from France. We're looking at none other than Clem's main command center. His opponent, down in the bottom left, considered to be the greatest StarCraft 2 player of all time. We're looking at Serral's main base. Serral going up against Clem. I mean, this could easily be the highlight series of an entire month of competition. I feel like lately I've just been able to upload banger after banger after banger, man. I hope that this one is not going to disappoint. I mean, it really shouldn't. These two have been playing against each other a couple of times over the last half year. And I would say that Clem is really the only player in all of StarCraft 2 that is giving Serral troubles. Serral is, in general, just pretty much unbeatable. He's been looking near indestructible again as well against Protoss, for example. I mean, he struggled a little bit when the new multiplayer balance patch first went live, but lately he's been looking very strong once more. I feel like in a series like this, I have a very hard time picking a favorite. I think I would give the slight edge to Clem. So Clem actually seems to struggle quite a bit against the Korean style of Zerg. Well, when I say quite a bit, he's still winning the majority of his battles there too, but he does seem to struggle a little bit more against that chaotic approach from, for example, Dark or, for example, Rogue. The guys that are just absolutely relentless with aggression and go for strategies that, quote-unquote, don't make sense, right? They go for builds that aren't really particularly efficient in the Excel spreadsheets of StarCraft. But against somebody like Serral, he looks incredible. Serral plays, in general, the most optimized way of StarCraft, right? Like, he tries to play every single battle like he is trying to trade cost efficiently. And Clem really has specialized over the last year in sniping down Serral in premier tournaments in particular. And, well, it worked out for him, right? He became the world champion of StarCraft, earning $450,000 in one tournament last summer. Not bad whatsoever. Pretty sure, yeah, we can call that a decent result. So let's see. Triple command center opener here for Clem. Going for the good old 1-1-1. Both of these players are a little bit, I guess you can call them boring when it comes to their early games and their mid games and also their late games. They just don't really play anything spicy. They play what we consider to be very standard StarCraft, but also they're kind of the ones that, like, invented the standard. So, yeah, even though maybe it's a little boring and they don't really play anything super aggressively, they know what needs to be done and they play the quote-unquote standard better than anybody else out there. So, it's going to be a Hellion start here for Clem for now. We'll probably see a tech lab on the barracks in a moment. Maybe not. This is Clem mixing it up, dude. Crazy shakeup by Clem. Going for what seems to be a Liberator. Although, it could also still be a delayed Banshee if he really wants to. Serral opening up with quick triple hatch. Now that link speed is finishing up, he's decided to put the drones back into the gas geyser so he can still go for a reasonably timed lair here eventually. And I would guess probably a Bailing Nest on the back of it too, although he has been favoring Roaches a little bit more as of late. Yep, it's going to be a Hellion Liberator start. This is technically a little bit risky. So the gamble here that Clem is taking is that if this would be a Zerg push, he won't have anything that can really easily kill it with, for example, Banshees, right? Banshees are very good against Roach attacks and Link Bane stuff and all kinds of Zerg aggression. He won't have it. Maybe he can still make the switcheroo in a moment if he really wants to go for a delayed Banshee, but what are the odds of Serral really going for a Roach all-in, right? Especially in game number 1 of a series, it's not really something Serral does all too frequently, so it's a tiny shakeup. Not a very significant advantage here either, but it is a bit of variety. So Clem is usually very good at keeping the Liberator around, sending it back home, repairing it once more, and then eventually getting all of the rest going. Now, Serral does scout this immediately with a bunch of links that are running in. 1 SCV, 2 SCVs. Hellions have to drive all the way back. And this is a bit annoying. Zerglings decide to sneak away too to buy even more time. Hellions are gonna eventually corner them. But this is now delaying Clem by a good... No, maybe not even. Yeah. Like a good 20 seconds or so. Liberator did go straight across, but of course at this point Serral has seen it. So he can prepare with some Spore Crawlers. So Spore Crawler in the natural. We have a Spore Crawler as well over at the main. Third base is the only location that he can easily siege, and it looks like that's going to work out for now. Hellions in the meantime are going to try and see if they can drive by, but Serral looking... Oh. Brenda! Brenda got shot in her toe. It's a dangerous place, man. She died by getting shot in the toe. What a terrible life. Lip is going to try and go around, but good control here by Clem. Getting one queen is probably more than he could have bargained for. Don't lose the Lip. Actually, a little sloppy here, sending it all the way back that way. Okay. He's going to be able to get it back. And he will probably repair it to go in for another round. It is indeed, by the way, a Banshee, or not a Banshee, a Baneling. Banshees and Banelings, what's the difference? It is going to be a Baneling transition here for Serral, so a very conventional style. The lair is already done. Baneling speed is going to be a little bit delayed here, because you should have already had the Baneling nest done as well. Technically, there is an opportunity for Clem to be aggressive. Clem, though, plugs the hole perfectly here. Lovely work. Yeah, there's skill check after skill check after skill check already. So far, everything's good. Yes, Serral did lose a bunch of lings, and he did lose Brenda. But truth be told, nobody really liked Brenda. And he still has a really solid economy as well. 76 drones already. Actually, a little bit of an oversaturation. Yeah, those extra drones are now heading on over towards the fourth base that just finished up, and Serral's going for a very quick fifth. It was quite common for quite a long time to put this fifth hatchery inside of the main base. So you would just have it as like extra larva generation, especially with Ling Bane-based armies. It is really nice to have that macro hatchery, but Zerg players have been taking the risk. And they've been putting their fifth hatchery, their quote-unquote macro hatch, out on the map. That does mean that it's vulnerable, and it's immediately something Clem is going to try and strike at. Love this positioning here for the siege tanks. Yeah, if you put them up against this wall over here in the bottom of the ramp, you can relatively easily keep this alive. And I think that this base is likely to fall. Serral doesn't want to lose it. It's not the end of the world. One queen goes down, second queen takes a lot of healing. Ah, great movement. He's already got a group of Hellions here from the early game still around too. The idea is, of course, that if a Zergling group decides to run by, he would be able to roast it. And of course, the hatchery does go down. Partly due to the fact that Serral was a bit delayed on the Baneling nest. Therefore, the Baneling speed is delayed too. And he can't really jump on his army. Now he's going to need another hatch. If he doesn't get another hatchery going in the relatively near future, since he doesn't have a Hydra den or anything like that, he will actually run into the problem that he just won't be able to spend his money. Overlord drops are coming. Baneling drop as well. Okay. There is a new hatchery, and that one will indeed go up inside of the main base. I don't mind it, but we probably need another base somewhere. Yeah. Because otherwise the hatchery count is just not big enough to really keep the 75 workers going. You'll just stack up way too much money. Okay, so Baneling rollbys, or Baneling flybys even. Serral's going carpet bombing on the side of the Terran. One of the OVs is currently going into the natural expansion. Clem does see it. Okay. The Overlord bomber decides to go back. Fair enough. What about the one over here? Did I just miss it? Oh, yeah. He was faking going to the main base and then decided to fly to the third base instead. He had Clem tricked and he had me tricked as well. I don't think that was the original plan, and I wonder if maybe you should have dropped off one more. Either way, 4 SCVs for 2 Banelings is very respectable. Of course, Serral's hoping that Clem is busy microing on the other side of the map. At that point, sometimes catching your opponent off guard with those Baneling drops can really work out. Believe it or not, pro gamers have only 2 eyes as well. And as far as I know, they are not able to control them individually, so it's quite difficult for Clem to keep his eyes pointed on the minimap to notice the dots of the Overlords coming into vision. 2-2 coming up for both players. Overlord drop hiding over here. The other one now flying in. Missile turret guy, though, is going to shut it down. Marines are going all the way back home, or at least they're retreating for now. Big Ling Bane run by will probably be attempted over here. Eventually, Jimmy pays the price, but the SCVs, they do stay alive. Bunch of Marines also waiting inside of the natural expansion. Matter of fact, drop boost towards the top left-hand corner. And you can tell that these guys are playing quick. 450-ish average actions per minute so far from both. We often talk about how fast Rainer is, how fast Clem is. Serral, though, not a slow player. Yeah, maybe we wouldn't say he's the fast, but he's incredibly fast. top 5 world easily. Probably top 3 world. When it comes to playing very quick on the buttons. Marine push though, heading towards the top left. Ling Bane run by, has found some more reinforcements even, and is now gonna head on over towards what seems to be the natural. Marines are pushed away. New command center at the front. Banelings over here too. Bunch of Zerglings are trying to see if they can kill the siege tank, and they achieve that exact job. Looks like Serral is gonna give up on the base over in the top left-hand corner, but it, well, is coming at a huge cost here for Clem. Lots of SCVs going down. Lots of Marines going down too, and it's by no means over yet. Clem is maybe thinking about stepping deep onto creep, but that's a dangerous move. He does have a bunch of siege tanks and a few Widow Mines here too to deal some splash damage. But as long as Serral gets more Banelings out here, he should be able to reinforce this. The command center itself in a world of trouble. No liftoff from Clem. Loses the CC. And he may have all the APM in the world, but he was still not fast enough to deal with all the aggression there at the exact same time. It's not even over. CC is down, but we already have the Zerglings running on over towards the third base. Serral retreats with a lot of Zerglings still intact. And this is wonderful play here by the finisher. This is one of those things where I feel like Clem, when he plays a ladder game, he just sort of wins by extreme multitasking. Serral now even putting some Baneling mines down. Fair enough. Just to make it even more annoying. Shall we switch to some first-person view? This is what Clem is looking at whilst he's playing the game. I mean, this is the lull in the game, right? This is right after all the aggression. So he's got an army in the top left, and he's got an army over here at the bottom of the map. Then he's also obviously macroing, trying to build up his economy once more, but he's only got 33 SCVs. Yeah, do you really want to continue building up your worker count when you're that far behind? Clem's sort of in a position now where he feels the need to try and win over the next couple minutes. And that's why Serral has decided to let his foot off the gas a bit. Maybe he'll do a Zergling run-by or something along those lines, but he really doesn't need to. He knows that Clem's actions are mostly forced. There's a couple of Lings trying to be a nuisance. Medivec's trying to, yeah, just clear up as much as possible. But upon noticing that he lost the Marines in the top left-hand corner, because the Zerglings were all over it, he decides to tap out, and Serral wins game number 1. Next up, we find ourselves on Frostline. Once more, conventional starts for both players. SCV, though, will be leading the Reaper. Clem not really willing to take any chances here. He knows that Serral is unlikely to go for some sort of pool-first shenanigans, but he also knows that Serral's perfectly capable of doing it, especially when you're 1-0 ahead. In a series like this, you have a bit of wiggle room. Serral, by the way, opting to go for 6 Lings. I do find this very interesting. So for the longest time, Zerg players have always gone for 4 Zerglings in total. And then the Koreans, when they noticed... Oh, can he get the... No. The Koreans would make 4 Zerglings blindly, and then when the very first Overlord would see that it was a Reaper opener, it would get the confirmation that indeed a Reaper was going across, they would add on 1 additional group of Lings. So they would end up with 6 Zerglings in total. The Europeans always were like, nah, that is not the way to do it. We make 4 Lings and 4 Lings only. Now Serral's going 6. And I believe he did it in the previous game too. We'll have to keep an eye out on it, because maybe he now also is part of this is like a 2019 discussion, okay? This is a discussion that I feel like we settled like 5 years ago. But actually, 2019 is not 5 years ago, Lowko. Anyways, God, we're getting old. It is interesting for me to... Yeah, I guess it's because the Reaper control has gotten so good. Clem's really powerful when it comes to just controlling the most basic units. Generally, that's where he seems to get most of his value. So far, though, he's not playing poorly. He just got outsped. Outsped? Is that a word? Outspeeded? Outspeduced? Yeah, that's what happened in game number 1. Serral played a faster game, and Clem just couldn't keep up. Not a situation he will commonly run into on the ladder. Outpaced. I guess the word outpaced would have been better there, Lowko. Anyways, lucky for me, I'm a professional. Zerglings are once more heading across. Serral made way more than a conventional amount. He's gonna try and see. This is almost as cheesy as Serral's ever going to be. He knows, yeah, he's seen them on the other side of the map, that those units are completely, oh my god, caught off guard. He saw them with the queens, and obviously that means that they are miles away. Crisis management so far, though, by Clem is excellent. Keeps the vast majority of his SCVs alive. 8 workers there is actually not terrible. 8 workers for 24. I think 8 workers is actually fine here for Clem to lose, especially because he does have a very fast 3rd command center. That looked terrible. Suddenly Clem decided to power up, go full Super Saiyan. Okay. Serral once more going into the good old lair together with a Baneling Nest. No roach shenanigans. Here's more Zorklings. Super annoying. Hellions have to, yeah, at least consider moving back home. Bit of indecisiveness. He loses more SCVs. Oh god, this is now getting too much. He decides to run in. Maybe he can deal damage simultaneously on the other side of the map, but Serral traps the Hellions. And whilst losing SCVs, he also loses all of those Hellions. And that's too much, man. I mean, again, not the end of the game. This is very recoverable. It's just that we have seen this time and time again from Serral. When he pulls ahead like this, he's pretty much unstoppable. So, if we think about the series that these two have recently played, right? In the main premier StarCraft tournaments, the ones that Serral lost, they were pretty much always off of the back of early game damage done by Clem. So Clem would run into Hellions, deal economical damage, or maybe the Banshees would be able to snipe a couple Queens or a bunch of drones. They were pretty much all won. Well, first off of phenomenal gameplay, but also in a very momentum-based playstyle. So Clem would basically go for aggression, and then he would layer more aggression and more aggression and more aggression, and then eventually he would overwhelm Serral, right? Usually in like 15 to like even 30-minute long games, but they were generally built off of the back of really high-tempo games. Right now, Clem has no tempo. Nothing. Momentum is completely in Serral's favor. Serral gets to decide whatever he likes, and while this is a very recoverable game here for Clem, it's not really his playstyle. This is generally not the way that he likes to play, right? If you compare it to, for example, Maru likes to turtle up and sit back and make more command centers, and then make more command centers, and then make more, and then make maybe some more command centers, and then he might even add on another command center or two, right? That's the style that Maru likes to go for. And it's the polar opposite of the way that Clem likes to play Terran Bio. Clem is gonna try and see if he can, well, do some damage again on the other side of the map, but he needs something now to continue playing that style that he is very fond of. It'll be very up to Serral here to make a mistake. He's not really known for making mistakes. Let's see. Ling Banes here. Okay. Ooh, Serral misclicked. Did you see that? He transfused the Overseer instead of the Queen. Washed up? Question mark? Can I put that on the thumbnail? Title of the video. Serral is washed up. Okay, now Marines go back in. Snipe another Queen. Snipe another Queen. Okay, well, I think that was about the best case scenario right there for Clem. 3 workers, or 3 Queens rather, going down. Huh. Do we have a Hive yet? Interestingly enough, Serral has skipped the Hive tech for now. He could have easily gone Hive, meaning that he's probably not planning on it. He will probably go into, I guess, just Hydraling Bane. A little risky. Yeah, generally speaking, if we look at the StarCraft Excel spreadsheet, the non-existent one, the proverbial spreadsheet, right? You would want to go Hive here. Hive together with a Lurker Den is technically the best play. Couple of Banelings going towards the other side of the map. More SCVs pay the price. Gets one more. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, that nullifies losing all these things earlier. Maybe Serral didn't quite realize how many workers he actually killed. That is also very possible. Obviously, we can look at the exact worker losses. Maybe he underestimated the advantage he created for himself, because he could have very easily gone away with a Hive here as well. Adrenal Glands Hive. You could even go into, like, Ultras here and be totally fine. Lurker Den, though, would be the most conventional play. The creep spread is actually looking quite mediocre. Clem, slowly but surely, getting a bit of a foothold. His economy is just not that good. If he had like 75 SCVs here, I would love it. Instead, okay, we're losing a bunch of Widow Mines. We're losing a Banshee over there too. Push over in the bottom right corner. Okay, this one's actually quite good. More Lings and Hydras are running on over in that direction. Bunch of Banes also part of that control group. Serral trying to get the wraparound on the Jimmies, and the Jimmies will go down. One of the medevacs. Ooh, gets dangerously close. And in the meantime, I mean, while the hatchery did fall, don't lose the medevacs. Well, that is the most interesting sound I've ever made in a StarCraft cast. But also quite sloppy by Clem. The one thing that Clem does have going for himself still is these upgrades. So 2-2. Really nice. Maybe he can line up like a big maxed out push as soon as these two upgrades are both done. I feel like that would be his best chance. Lings are running through. Banelings are trying their very best. The Widow Mines have to be careful that they don't accidentally deal splash damage to their own friendlies. Bunch of barracks here. That's barracks 6, 7, and 8. And this is all off of just... Oh no, we do have a 4th CC over here. I was wondering, where did the 4th Command Center go? Yeah, no, he is trying to display the macro game. He's just not doing it off of that big of an economy. Honestly, I'm impressed here by Clem. I feel like Serral did not quite go for the optimal follow-up. And it could just be due to the fact that he's just not had a lot of great success. Sloppy. Yeah, maybe he just hasn't had a lot of great success with going quick hive lately. Now we see a hive. Okay. Clem, upon another mistake there with the Marine Micro, decides to tap out. And Serral obtains another point. Uncharacteristic mistakes from Clem. Yeah. I feel like he was playing with a lot of urgency in the previous game. And it was mostly off of the fact that he lost all of those Hellions and then a bunch of SCVs early on. But also, we've kind of come to expect him to micro his Marines perfectly. This is not me setting a high standard, okay? Maybe it is, but this is mostly his own standard that he has set over the last year with phenomenal gameplay. Watching him lose like 10 SCVs here and then 12 Marines there and just a bunch of sloppy errors. Yeah, they're fast-paced games, but that's exactly the type of game that Clem likes to go for. And the ones that he is pretty much always inviting from his opponent and the ones that he usually wins. He's gonna have to step it up. Serral's been looking pretty much unstoppable again. Where do we go from here? Well, as far as strategies go on Amygdala, neither player really mixing it up all too much. Last time around, Serral did make a large group of Zerglings. A little bit later on in the game, but he managed to run them across the map completely unscouted, and that was a little out of character. Also a bit dangerous. You'll probably add on a bunch of Zerglings, so the norm is to add on a bunch of Zerglings when your link speed finishes up, or right about right now. You make one round of links just to make sure that you stay alive against any sort of Hellion or Reaper run by, something along those lines. And then after that you go back to droning. Serral basically just added on additional Zerglings there and ran them all across the map. Okay. Third CC just about to finish. And Clem decides to mix it up here as far as the builds go. So this is the, I would say this is like the alternate version of Clem's favorite builds. So Clem usually is a triple command center 1-1-1. Meaning one barracks, one factory, one starport. It allows you to go Hellions, it allows you to go into obviously Stimpack eventually, but you can use that barracks as well to get a tech lab going to allow yourself to get those benchies going. This is a 2-1-1, so it's a 2 barracks opener. 2 barracks rather than a fast starport. Starport is still coming on the back of this, but usually you go straight into medevac production from here. So this is a more passive approach. There's only a handful of Hellions here. They're mostly just chilling at the watchtowers in the opposite corners of the map. This is not really one where you're gonna shut down the Zerg's creep spread very much. So, yeah, generally Zerg just gets to do whatever they please for now. But you can actually stay alive with a very nice and early Stimpack. So most of the Roach attacks that Zerg will go for in this matchup, say Zerg wanted to go for a Roach Ravager all-in with like a Link Flood, usually that hits right about the 5-minute mark. So we're now 4 minutes and 50 seconds in. Stimpack is seconds away from being done, and it's gonna be a-okay here. Well, sometimes you can still actually win with a Roach push if Terran is not paying attention, but it should be very holdable if your name is Clem. It's just a more passive approach, right? So you can actually go for like the Sledgehammer attack here with just a whole lot of Marines. But as far as Marine drops go, this is also by no means the fastest possible one. The classic 2-1-1 opener, it was usually played off of 2 command centers. So you would go 2-1-1, 2 command centers, and then eventually a third CC. Usually you would start up the command center about, well, a minute ago right now. But it would hit on the other side of the map a few seconds after the 5-minute mark, depending on the size of the map, sometimes like 5:10, 5:15 or so, with 16 Marines and Stimpak. So this is hitting about half a minute later, but you have an additional command center on the back of it. So any damage here is good damage. As long as you don't lose the Metavex, that is. We're getting very analytical today. I feel like in some casts, I'm barely talking about the game and I'm just memeing the entire time. Today we're going to StarCraft school. Yeah, I hope you've been taking notes. This will be on the test. So, it is important that you pass. Yeah. There's gonna be a test at the end of this. Yeah. It'll determine whether or not you can remain subscribed to my YouTube channel and to my Twitch streams and my Patreon and all that. Only the Giga nerds. Yeah, only the Giga nerds get to stay. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't make the rules. Armory coming up. That's gonna allow Clem to go into the 2-2. He's got barracks 4 and 5 right now, wrapping up as well, and centrifugal hooks. It's coming. That'll be one of the questions of the test. What is centrifugal hooks? That's your timer, by the way, in case you were wondering what I was doing. You have like a 15-second timer to write it down. We have a little bit of a Hellbat push up here. Mostly because he's got an armory. Figured he may as well transform the boys. Siege tank in the back, but this is easy to clean up for the Zerg. Bailing speed is properly timed this time around. The Marines over at the bottom, though, are a lot more successful. Yeah. And this is actually really quite good for Clem. He needs to, Serral that is, needs to run those links from up north all the way down south. Did I just... Oh my god. Clem missed it? But I did as well. I also filled my own test! Dude, Serral, how did you... When did you... How did you... Okay. Well, luckily, he can immediately retaliate on the other side. 11 drones end up falling here already, and it's not even done yet. Yo, this is actually such a critical attack for Clem. Oh, he's going to be able to get the spawning pool as well. New one will be coming up immediately. But this just massively took the wind out of Serral's sails. There's actually a full-on attack right now from Clem. After losing 18 SCVs, he feels like he needs to go. He needs to go right now. Serral can't make anything. Serral only has a Baneling nest, meaning that he can transform his Zerglings into Banelings, but without a spawning pool, he actually can't produce Spine Crawlers, Queens, Zerglings, none of it. So the drones are still going down as well, but Clem is feeling like this is his opportunity to strike. And he may be onto something right now. He just lost so many of his workers. He needs to do something, and something soon. Maybe Serral poked the bear. Never poked a bear. I don't know why he would be poking a bear in the first place. Lucky for me, we have no bears in the Netherlands. Well, we have bears in zoos, I guess, but I've seen them in the zoo. Other than that, very few bears. I didn't poke the ones in the zoo either, for what it's worth. Anyways, Clem did try his very best there to put on as much damage as possible, and it's sort of worked out. I actually thought he was going to try and push for the win immediately. Because you do have like a full minute or so where that spawning pool is building. He decided not to take any chances. That was a lovely Widowmine connection too. Okay. If those Metavex inside of the main base of Zerg... Wow, Serral decides to tap out. Okay. Yeah, if those Metavex in the main base didn't just shut down the Zerg economy, I think Clem would have just sort of fizzled out over the next few minutes. Because... Again, he lost way too many SCVs there to the counter damage. Okay. Well, we've got ourselves a series. This was looking like Serral was going to do several things. A quick 3-0 against Clem would be really nice for Serral's mental health, I'm pretty sure, because I don't really know how he feels about the whole situation, but He's been at the very top of the StarCraft pyramid for many years. And then lately you have that little French guy coming in, trying to knock you off your throne. A 3-0 win would be real sweet for him. It didn't happen. It was very close to happening, to be fair. It was very close to happening. Serral's defense was just not as clean as he really needed it to be. Because I think if he would have been able to kill 18 SCVs on the other side of the map and then, well, maybe limit the damage that he took, because I think he lost like, what, 12 workers or so, and the creep spread was kind of rough, and then he had some bad trades, and the Widow Mine's got some really good connections, right? A series of events all going wrong all at the same time. Yeah. If only half of those things happened, I think Serral would have been okay. Sadly for him, it wasn't meant to be, but it's good for us. Because that means we get to have more games. And maybe the beginning of a comeback here. Third command center again for Clem. Now this is Abyssal Reef. Gigantic map. And now we are going roaches. But this is a very quick roach one. This is actually Serral going for a roach rush, isn't it? I mean, he skipped link speed. He's got a load of gas. He's got 3 overlords coming. Yeah. This kind of looks like the classic like 7 or like 9 roach opener. I wasn't paying very close attention to exactly what he was doing here. But this is him, yeah, going for a round of roaches. This is a build that used to be around back in the early days of Wings of Liberty. A long time ago. Back in my day. Yeah, it's the 9 roach rush. Yeah. So this hits actually at a timing that Terrans really do struggle with. It's hard for them to scout, so the Roach Warren's over there in the back of the natural. And he's sending those roaches straight through the center of the map. Now there is a timing here that Clem is going to take note of. Like for example, he expects link speed to finish up at a certain moment. Not getting link speed done at a certain time is also obviously alarm bells going off. How much is there right now for the Terran player to defend? This is 9 roaches. And there's 2 Hellions and 2 Marines. I'm not liking Clem's situation here very much. 1 SCV going down. Stimpack is seconds away from finishing. This is that timing I was trying to highlight in the previous game. Usually right around 5 minutes is when it's done. Serral trying to maximize damage here. SCVs actually... Ooh, they swoop in. Tanking a lot of the deeps. Stimpack is gonna finish up. You know what? That was way better for Clem than I thought it was going to be. He actually managed that perfectly. I think Serral should have targeted the SCVs, not the Marines. I'm probably wrong in saying that. But 4 SCVs, 5 Marines, I think you could have had 9 SCVs instead. That sounds way better to me. Problem is, when you lose all of those roaches, Serral's been droning up on the back of it in the meantime, by the way, but you do need to remake them now. Because obviously Terran is immediately going to try and see if they can get some counter damage done. Those 4 links from earlier, look at them. Zippy and his buddies are going in. Okay, no, never mind. They got a little scared. They've only done protecting against Reapers. They were not trained for actual counter aggression, which is fair enough. Roach speed coming in together with the +1 missile. 1-1 as well here for Clemdo coming up, and we've got ourselves another barracks. So that's barracks number 3. Third command center just finished up, and it's now on the low ground. And as the dust settles, we've got ourselves a nice little macro game building up. Let's go Zippy! Zippy and the boys zipping in. Link speed is not going to happen anytime soon. 2. That's actually really nice. Yeah. Zippy and his friends got as much damage done as those 9 roaches. Pretty much. Alright. Curious to see Serral actually going roaches here in the first place. In the previous games, he did not go roaches a single time. It was just straight Ling Bane. Not really opting to do anything but Ling Bane. Now we're going Roach Hydra into probably Lurker. It's probably the map. If I were to make a guess, I think that's the reason. Roach is running around the site, trying to kill whatever they can. We have an armory once more here for Clem. Nice and early, but at the very least he will not be delayed when it comes to the 2-2 upgrade. Sniping that creep tumor is actually a really nice one. Serral kind of needs to get some creep on the low ground. That's the spot Zerg players usually pick when they want to start spreading more and more creep over here. The queens are close by, and yeah, I like the Ling Bane style a little bit better, because with roaches... What's up, Shark Bro? How you doing, dude? Not much. Yeah. How's the wife? Okay, anyways. I think Ling Bane is a little bit easier to play across the board, because roaches kind of need to be in position to defend against these sort of pushes. When you're kind of trailing after it, and you're just kind of sending your roaches in a direction when the Marines dropping your natural expansion, it's just so much slower. Hydras are now joining in as well, though, so those medevacs are not just going to be mostly uncontested. Clem has decided to bring a few siege tanks and some more marine reinforcements to the party, as he's decided that he really wants to, well, kill the fourth. This is a dangerous play. Hellions in the meantime. I love this. Serral decides to intercept them. At the very least, he gets it done just barely in time, but this is before Zerg really hits that power spike with the Hydras. He's nowhere close. Bro, you're blocking it. It's okay. He's nowhere close yet when it comes to any sort of, like, lurker play, for example. There are Vipers coming, and the Vipers are going to be excellent. Roaches, in the meantime, though, have made their way towards the natural. We have a bunch more, together with some more slow links, heading on over towards the third. So Clem may be able to kill the fourth base of the Zerg player eventually, but at what cost? Because he is taking an awful lot of damage at home. 10 SCVs are already going down, and more will be coming very soon. Roaches here also knocking over on the supply depots. Looks like the ones from the natural and the main base, the roaches that is, they have been cleaned up. We do have some corrosive biles, but Serral trying to get lucky. Does not get lucky. Where's the Vipers? Do they have energy yet? They're gathering it right now, but the hatchery falls. Although a backup was built all the way down the low ground. Hellions from earlier get intercepted once more. A few roaches here trying to see if they can get some damage done on them. One Hellion still remains, and one Hellion is not gonna deal too much damage because it takes 3 shots to kill a single drone. Okay. Oh, lovely abductions. Only in StarCraft land can you say those sorts of words. Beautiful fungal growth. Another thing you can also, yeah, pretty much only say in StarCraft land. Anyways, the Marines are hungry. They really want to snipe those Vipers, but the Vipers are still around. Blinding clouds do get thrown on the Marines and on one of the siege tanks. I wonder if you should have thrown them over there onto the siege tanks in the back. And this is not a bad engagement at all for Clem. Yep. Despite sniping a few of those tanks, I think Serral still is in a world of trouble. Clem just mustered up a huge army. Vipers! Oh, the Vipers go down. And Serral decides to just tap straight out. And that means that it all comes down to this. Final map in this best of 5 series is El Dorado. Can Clem actually complete the reverse sweep? I mean, these last 2 games, Serral has not really looked like himself. I feel like the previous game was actually probably the worst one from Serral so far. Yeah. The first 80% of game 3 looked really good for the Zerg player. But then, well, the Marine drops just sort of overwhelmed him. Not really something that generally happens. And it seems like Clem has managed to fix whatever was causing him problems in game number 1 and 2. Because in game number 1 and 2, he was taking very unnecessary amounts of damage. And I guess until the Baneling roll by in game number 3. He was taking a bunch of unnecessary damage then too. But game 4 looked really clean. Those 9 roaches swooping into the natural expansion completely unscouted, losing only an absolute handful of workers against it. And then just the follow-up aggression was excellent. El Dorado, my personal favorite map in the current map pool. We don't see it all too often. I actually don't know what the win-loss ratios are. Let me have a look. At the professional level... Oh, I googled El Dorado. Turns out there's a lot of El Dorado related things. Not all of them are StarCraft maps, believe it or not. For the Terran versus Zerg matchup, according to Liquipedia, which basically keeps track of every single tournament game that gets played, there's a 56% win rate for Terran on this map. Zerg also against Protoss apparently loses about 56% of their games. So I guess that's the reason why we haven't been seeing a lot of Zerg players play on El Dorado. Then again, generally those map percentages, they do sort of balance out over time. Just one of those maps that requires a little bit of experimentation, because it is difficult to predict exactly what the best move is. Serral, for some reason, mining out one of the skinny mineral fields, but not the other. I don't think he can fit a drone through that just yet, but he wants to go for the drone over here, and the third base vertically from where the main base and the natural are already located. Okay. So Serral expanding away from Clem. Yeah. Where does Clem want to go? Will he expand in the direction of the Zerg? We'll have to find out in just a moment. Zerg players, though, antisocial as always. They prefer living as far away from the Zergs. Yeah, except for Dark. Dark likes to be expanding close to his opponents, but generally Zerg players like to expand away from wherever they need to be. Obviously, that benefits the race with the fastest moving units. I like that, though, about El Dorado, right? So we've seen quite a bit of variety. You can expand away from the opponent if you want to. You can expand in the direction of the opponent as well. You can take a nice and quick fourth base on the quote-unquote wrong side of the mineral field over here. The bottom base seems to be very contested, and there's just a lot of variety. I think if you compare the average game on Abyssal Reef, for example, they look relatively similar. We've seen some really cool plays there too, but El Dorado matches pretty much always seem to work out differently. Now, Serral once more going into the Roach Warren. So once again, we will be playing Roaches. Didn't really go too well in the previous match. I wasn't too impressed. But Abyssal Reef also has some really lovely siege tank positions. To be fair, there are also some really lovely siege tank positions on this map, especially when you expand vertically like Serral's doing. Pushes over here with tanks are super dangerous. Kind of feel like you do actually want to mine this out relatively soon. It'll be a good old 2-1-1 once more here for Clem. So this is the same build, 3 games back to back to back. In game number 1 and 2, the 2 games that he lost, he went triple CC with Hellion Liberator, if I'm not mistaken. Now he's decided to go into a fast Stimpak upgrade once more. Now this is a different flavor of Roach, by the way. God, that's also... Anyways, maybe you like eating roaches. I don't know. Different flavor of Roach opener here for Serral. It's probably a delicacy in some countries. I don't want to be disrespectful. Anyways, we do have a more macro-focused start. So rather than rushing 9 roaches and sending them straight across, Serral's gone for just the absolute bare minimum that he needs for early game defense. That means that the ball is very much so in Clem's court. Serral is here to make drones and just to sort of build up that economy. And you can already tell, 58 workers versus 42. Not bad whatsoever here for the finisher. So he's ready to play a proper macro game. At least that's the general vibe I'm getting. I'm assuming we're going to be flying the 3rd command center on down in this direction. Just makes a lot of sense. Clem actually already taken out the skinny mineral field over here, so maybe not. Oh, we're going straight for the gold. Well, that is something we don't generally see on this map. Generally, we see Terrans taking this base or the one from, yeah, like north of the natural expansion. Apparently, we're going to go straight for the golden mineral line. Okay. Roach is coming up here together with the +1 Carapace upgrade. They're running away, trying their very best. But ultimately, the Marines are looking strong. Nice trade right there for Clem. Yeah, and this is where Roaches are kind of right? Like, this is why we generally see a lot of Zerg players avoid Roaches. They are good for base defense, but they can just feel a little awkward, especially compared to Ling Bane. You're just always kind of trailing behind. Like, Zerg is kind of known for having that fast-moving army, and Roaches, especially before Glio Reconstitution is done. Another question, by the way, from the test. Before that upgrade is finished, the Marines are much quicker. Stimpak giving them all the boosts that they really need, and obviously the medevac cannot hurt either, although this is going to be a transition towards a Ling Bane army eventually. So we have a infestation pit coming up. We've got ourselves a Baneling nest, and that will all lead towards a hive. We don't have a Hydra Den or anything like that, so Serral probably opting for something a little different. We'll have to keep an eye out on exactly what the plan is. Factory 2.0 coming up right now for Clem. So he'll be able to double up that siege tank. Or maybe even if he really wants to, he could go into Widow Mine production from here too. Generally not the case. And there's the 4th command center. Serral will figure out now that indeed it is the golden base that Clem is mining from. And despite being very far ahead when it comes to the income... Oh my god. This is, by the way, the mules mining. The peaks and the valleys of the income advantage graph are the mules for the Terran. Well, mining and then running out. Having a lower worker count, though, is not going to be that big of an issue when you do have those golden mineral fields. Now, as this game progresses, those mineral fields are going to mine out. And for most of the outer bases, it doesn't really matter. But eventually, it will be very easy for Terran to be harassed from the bottom here. Obviously, an opening will be created over here too, and you create a lot more mobility. And again, mobility usually better for Zerg. Hive is just about to finish up. This was now scanned as well here by Clem, or actually scouted with the Medevacs. He decides to get rid of some of the creep, which I think is actually a really nice play. Because this is one of those moves where Zerg would just continuously creep up in this direction. And it just makes everything more difficult. Okay, so Viper's coming up. So this is what seems to be Lingbane Viper with some Roach Ravager for support. Do we go Adrenal Glands from here? Because I feel like that would be the right play. In the meantime, we have Barracks 6, 7, and 8 done here for Clem. Probably into a Ghost Academy. This would be right around the time that we do generally see a Ghost Academy planted down. Although Terrans have been a little bit more reluctant in that department. Serral, though, trying to see if he can maybe catch this off guard. Decides to go for just a couple Corrosive Balls there. 3 of them in total. Onto that Siege Tank. Medevac drop in the bottom left is going to get intercepted. And there is indeed the Adrenal Glands. 40% attack speed for the Lynx. Drilling Claws now finishing up, though, for the Widow Mines. And that makes them a lot more terrifying. Vipers, though, are going to be the real weapon of choice here for Serral. Yep, they're coming in from the north, and they're gonna throw down some blinding clouds. One of the Vipers will go down, but I think the entirety of this Terran army is at the bare minimum going to need to retreat. Great cleanup right there by the finisher. And that's what he was trying to do in the previous game too, but he didn't get the job. Yeah, he didn't get the job done. This choke point is still certainly benefiting the Marines. Good attack here from Clem, who now, of course, has that second factory. Going for a Reaper. Probably suboptimal. Ultra Cavern coming up as well for Serral. Well, if there's no ghosts, when there's no Mass Liberator, can't say I hate it. Push over here in the middle also gets cleaned up. +3 Carapace. Gonna be very handy for Ultras. Pushing the top left is going to snipe one of the bases. Okay. There's the Ghost Academy. Yep. I think the Ghost Academy is absolutely critical here. Clem trying to see if he could potentially snipe another expansion. He needs to be careful here that he doesn't get carried away. Oh, sniping this Evo Chamber would be massive. The +3 upgrade is so critical if you want to make Ultralisks work. Any armor upgrade on the unit is good. Not gonna happen for now. But he has already bruised the Evo Chamber. Push once more towards the top left. The previous attack in this line over here, it did kill the hatch. Push over in the middle of the map though. Corrosive Balls are connecting. Clem takes more damage than he was hoping for. Chitinous Plating coming up. That's additional armor for Ultras. And once these 2 upgrades are finished, Ultras are gonna hit like absolute trucks against Marines and Marauders in particular. The nice thing here, though, for Clem, even though he hasn't seen Ultras yet, he knows that the possibility is there, and he can very easily go into the Ghost production too, which will be a necessity. You can't really counter maxed out Ultras with just Marine Marauder. I mean, you can try. If your name is, sorry. If your name is Björn, Bunch of banelings waiting for the mineral fields. They were licking their lips, man, hoping for one of the mineral fields to run out. Dirty banelings. Alright, they decided to just go back home. Serral's been playing survival this entire time. And I think he's managed to do it, although he's by no means in a very comfortable spot. I think this will be the real first time, though, that he can start dealing damage on the other side of the map. Any lost roach will be replaced right now with more Lingbane Ultra. The age of the roach is over. You can already tell that this Zerg army is starting to really peck above, or punch rather, above its weight class. We have Adrenal Glands done, of course, at this point. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna hurt. Where's the Ultralisk? It's just 2. All right. They're slowly on their way. Honestly, the Roach Ravager is doing quite fine here. There's a lot of Widow Mines all over the map. No Overlord speed yet for Serral, but he does actually kill those Widow Mines now. I believe most of them have already fired a second time. Clem did, during all of this, secure a 5th command center. Serral down. Yeah, he does have a base right outside of the natural in the main. Okay. Here's the Ultras. Ghosts are coming up. Nice sniping right there by Clem. He shuts down one of them, but he decides to pick up and get on out of there. Oh, one of the Metafex actually goes down due to the Widow Mine's friendly fire. One Infester. Just one Infester. Honestly, one Fungal Growth. The Ultras will have a much easier time catching up. Clem over here mostly trying to dance, right? He's hoping for his Ghost count to go up. He's going for a second starport right now to build up the additional Liberators. The reason he's sending so many units out on the map is because he currently doesn't really have an army to contest with that of the Zerg, but he has an army that can keep the Zerg player pinned back. If this fight would be taking place close to the Zergs, or to the Terran side of the map rather, this would be very difficult for Clem to pick up. So, he's trying to keep the Zerg player on creep, replace any lost units with troops that are better against Ultras. Spire coming up right now for Serral. He's a little worried for the Liberators. Especially with ranged, you can't really catch Liberators very well. And that one Liberator is actually shutting down a lot of mining. Now the Ghosts, no cloak. No Ghost cloaking upgrade yet, although the Ultras are kind of starting to pop. Okay. Most of them took a lot of damage, but are still around. They decide to back up. Now those mineral fields, though, have been mined out. And this is turning out to be a very dynamic game now. Very difficult for me to call this at this point. I'm not sure whose situation I favor. We haven't properly seen a late game between these two, so Ultra goes down. Yeah, I feel like Ultras, the longer that the game goes on, are going to become worse and worse. When the Ultras first spawned, there wasn't really any proper counter against them yet. Now we're getting Liberators mixed in as well with the Ghosts. And both of those are fantastic. Spire out to counter the Corrupt, or to make Corruptors rather, to counter the Liberators. Base towards the top right corner. Right next to this weird looking creature, whatever it is. A couple of Zerglings decide to burrow in the same spot. I feel like if I have to be critical of Serral, I feel like his creep spread throughout this series has been quite lackluster. Obviously, the queens are more expensive now with the new patch, and maybe that's the reason as to why. But Serral in the past was very diligent replacing any lost creep tumors. And so far, I mean, obviously he's under a lot of pressure. Maybe he needs to get up to 600 APM, you know what I mean? Like, just play faster, bro. Why are you playing so slow? You're only at 480 average actions per minute? Have you considered playing like Serral? Okay, no, okay. Anyways, it is important to get the creep going, because every time Clem launches an attack, the Terran's just close to the hatcheries. Push over here is also close to the hatcheries. Fungal is coming in, though, from the bottom. The Infestor pays the price, but that was actually a really nice sequence there for Serral. Blows up a ton of the opponent's units, and maybe that's going to slow down Clem ever so slightly. I'm starting to be worried for the Ultralisk situation. Like, I want to believe in Ultras, but also I don't believe in Ultras. These Ultras are so low. I feel like if a Ghost sneezes at it now, it's gonna go down. More Ultras coming up. Serral's playing Mass Ultra. Hatchery, in the meantime, in the top left corner gets cleaned up. Lings and Ultras here at the bottom of this base as well, though. Now that the golden base is run out, they decide to just, well, kill the orbital command itself. An eye for an eye. Lots of SCVs are going down as well all over the map. We have an Infestor trying to shark around too. Trying to see if it can hit the lucky fungal, and maybe that's what it's looking for right now. I think there's an opportunity. Serral, though, busy looking at everything else that's going on in the meantime. Oh, good splitty there by Clem, actually. Very impressive. He must have had like a 1/10 of a second to make that decision, and he actually gets the job done. Roaches and Ultras are starting to knock at the front door of the Terran player, but Ghosts and Liberators here should be able to make quick work of all of this. Still, though, Lings are running in. Ultras and Banelings are running in as well in the base up north. Ultras decide to step out of that liberation zone for just a minute. The accidentally produced Swarm Host is also here to try and see if he can kill the Planetary Fortress. Planetary Fortress at just a couple HP remaining, but the SCVs keep it alive, and Serral overextends. In the meantime, those Marines from earlier inside of the medevac are still just hanging out. Clem also decided that he, probably should be sending those back in for some more damage. Okay. It's been an absolute roller coaster, though. If you look at the income advantage, considering Terran is trading more efficiently, as we do have another nice fungal. Oh, this is an expensive fungal, though, because a lot of Ghosts got caught in that circle. Yeah, Terran is definitely trading more cost efficiently here. And obviously, income-wise, he's also in a really lovely position. Serral's been trying to see if he can clear out as many of those Terran bases as possible. Ultras once more, heading on over towards the top right-hand corner. Ultras in the middle of the map get pushed back. Oh, yeah, the Ultra is just so awkward here. It's just so derpy. Base in the top right, the one that Serral got very close to killing earlier. Once more, just 2 Ultralists go into town, but Liberators show up. A reinforcement of Liberators. They show up, and I think that base will easily stay alive. Serral realizes that there is no way out of this game, and he decides to tap out. I like the Ultralisk as a unit. I just really don't think it's that great. Yeah, I was quite excited actually with the most recent multiplayer balance patch when they first announced the balance changes that they wanted to implement, right? So they announced the balance changes and they basically made the Ultralisk less derpy. So it now has the ability to push other units out of place, which I think is pretty cool, right? They made it a little bit slower as well to compensate. I figured that was fair. But then right before the new patch went live, they were like, hey, by the way, we're making the mothership's visual bigger. And while we're at it, we also decided to make the Ultralisk bigger again, too. And I kind of feel like the person that came up with that didn't quite consider the balance implications. Making the mothership bigger, not that big of a deal, right? I figured that makes sense. And I like the big Ultras. I think they look cool. But they're significantly more derpy when they are bigger because they get stuck on other things now. Well, one of the things they get stuck on is other Ultralisks. And I want to love the unit, but I'm not so sure about it. Anyways, Serral shows us that it is still viable, but maybe not against the very best Terran on the planet. GG.